Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Turning Towards Life. This is Lizzie and Justin. And we are here in the beginning weeks of our 6th year of doing this Turning Towards Life thing. And it's a great joy to be here. Today is my little girl's 3rd birthday. So I've been a mum for 3 whole years. And that means we've been doing this while I've been a mum for 3 years, which is extraordinary to me. It's all going rather quickly, and I am so amazed, Justin, that we're still keeping on. And when I read the source that you posted on Friday, again, the amazement came back to me that we can still be completely amazed by these things we're finding all these years on. It's so good. And I love this source. Thank you for finding this and bringing this. It's complete, excellent breath of fresh air to read this and to receive it. And I can't wait to hear what we're going to say between us. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here too, as I always am. Very happy to be here with you, Lizzie, on this momentous day. It's a momentous day in your life too. I think so. I'm feeling joyful about that. And yes, it's quite a thing. Time. What a thing time is. That's another whole conversation. So as always, as you're saying, we have a source, and for those of you who are new to us, and welcome if you're new, or if you've maybe been joining us for the 5 and a bit years that we've been doing this already, you're equally welcome. We always start with a source, like the source of a spring or of a river, and read it together and then see what conversation arises. And this, Lizzie, is one of these sources which has mysteriously been sitting in my pile of sources for a long time, and I have no idea how I found it. But it's by Eugene Gendlin, who, as you'll know, Lizzie, was the originator of a very, very beautiful and sort of straightforward way of working with ourselves and one another and the flow of our lives, called focusing. But I wanted to bring this not because it's about how to be a therapist or a focusing person or a coach or any of those things, even though it is about all of those things, because it's about how to be together with one another when we want to be of deep assistance to one another's lives, or accompanying or turning towards, or any of the different kinds of language. So here it is. So if you're with us and you want to find these sources, we have a very beautiful website, turningtowards.life. You'll always find all the sources there. And also we have a Facebook group, which you are very welcome to come and join us in. Just search for Turning Towards Life. And maybe you're on a podcast and it will be in the notes for this episode of the podcast. So here we go. The essence of working with another person is to be present as a living being. And that's lucky, because if we had to be smart or good or mature or wise, we would probably be in trouble. But what matters is not that. What matters is to be a human being with another human being, to recognize the other person as being in there. And you have to wait for the person, that being in there, to be in contact with you. That seems to be the most important thing. So when I sit down with someone, I take my troubles and feelings and I put them over here on one side, close, because I might need them. I might want to go in there and see something. And I take all the things that I've learned and I put them over here on my other side, close. And then I'm just here with my eyes, and there is this other being. If they happen to look into my eyes, they will see that I'm just a shaky being. I have to tolerate that. They may not look, but if they do, they will see that. They will see the slightly shy, slightly withdrawing, insecure existence that I am. I have learned that this is okay. I do not need to be emotionally secure and firmly present. I just need to be present. There are no qualifications for the kind of person I must be. What is wanted for the big therapy process, the big development process, is a person who will be present. And so I have gradually become convinced that even I can be that. So this is my way of saying that. Do not let focusing or reflecting or anything else get in between. Do not use it as an in-between. There's a sense that we're armed, you see. We have all this stuff And so it is easy for us to sit there with the stuff in between. Do not let it be in between. Put it out of the way. You can have at least as much courage. You can have at least as much courage as the client has. If not, I would be ashamed of myself with all the stuff that I have if I still cannot really look when this person can. So I want to be there in that same way.
Thank you, Justin. So when I sit down with someone, I take my troubles and feelings and I put them over there on one side, close, because I might need them. I might want to go in there and see something. And I take all the things that I've learned and put them over here on my other side, close. Then I'm just here with my eyes, and there is this other being. If they happen to look into my eyes, they will see that I'm just a shaky being. I have to tolerate that. They may not look, but if they do, they will see that. They will see the slightly shy, slightly withdrawing, insecure existence that I am. I've learned that is okay. I do not need to be emotionally secure and firmly present. I just need to be present. There are no qualifications for the kind of person I must be. What is wanted for the big therapy process, the big development process, is a person who will be present. And so I have gradually become convinced that even I can be that. So this is my way of saying that do not let focusing or reflecting or anything else get in between. Do not use it as an in-between. There is a sense that we are armed, you see. We have all this stuff, and so it's easy for us to sit there with this stuff in between. Do not let it be in between. Put it out of the way. You can have at least as much courage as the client has. If not, I would be ashamed of myself with all the stuff that I have if I still cannot really look when this person can. So I want to be there in that same way.
Thanks, Lizzie. I could really hear when obviously when we're reading this and when I'm thinking about this, one of the things that I'm thinking about is the kind of work that you and I both do and the kind of work that we teach in our way of being Thirdspace, which is coaching. That's very present for me as I listen to this. But actually, as I was listening to you, what I was really, really struck by was this way that Eugene Gendlin has of saying, don't put anything in between. But also don't throw it away. Such lovely, lovely language that he has in the second part. He says you can take the whole of your life, everything you know and everything you feel, and you can put it just here on one side because you might need it. And you can take all of the ways you've learned if you've been studying a way of helping people like coaching or therapy or something like that, and you can put it all on the other side because you might need it. But whatever happens, don't have it be in between. And so first of all, I just want to say I love that metaphor. It's such a liberating way of attending, and it's very live for me now when you and I are sitting here face to face to one another, doing a thing which is going out live on Facebook to who knows how many people, and is going out on a podcast to who knows how many people, and is going out on YouTube and we've been doing it for a long time. I know that it's really easy to have the something that we're doing be in between you and I, because I won't speak for you. I want it to be good, and I want it to be interesting to us and to everyone else, and I want to have excellent sources, and I've got all kinds of things that I wish for in it. And then also sometimes I've got, actually much less now, but sometimes I've got some kind of performance anxiety, like will I be okay, and how vulnerable do I want to be, and how open can I be, and did I have enough sleep, and any of those, just any of it, any of it. Or I might be wanting to impress you, and any of it can be in between, any of it. And that's true when I'm speaking to people I love, or speaking to my friends, speaking to my children. And it's not just about coaching or therapy or the big development process or any of those things that Eugene Gendlin talks about. And You know, it's really a relief to not have it in between. As I sit here with you, with that language here, and I take all of the things that I've just named and I just put them to one side because I don't want to separate myself from all of my experience and everything that I am, but I put them just here, just in view. And then I can just let myself be here with you. And one part of it is it's much better for me this way. Even before anything about what it might be like for you or might happen for you. For me, I can really trust myself here. And I can feel all of my biggest love and presence and whatever wisdom I may have sort of available, but not grasping it and not having it grasp me. And I don't feel in a hurry. Because that's the other thing that can come in between with turning towards life is, well, we've got 30 minutes, so you better get on with talking about it's another thing that can be. And what really strikes me in this moment of letting all of that, really consciously following Eugene Gendler's instruction and letting that settle and being here with you, is I'm feeling the preciousness of this time. You were talking about time of being a mum and the weirdness and extraordinariness and unfathomableness of 3 years having already passed. And I've been thinking about that a lot too. And right now here, being in this conversation with you, it is kind of timeless. Like time then takes up a whole different thing, and it's not about counted time or something. It just is us being together, which is very, very precious in a life that is very strange and very fleeting.
As usual, I'm having to pick a thread because there's so much in what you said. So Justin, I mentioned a couple of times we have a person in our family at the moment. It's my father-in-law who's heading quite quickly towards not being in his body anymore with an aggressive brain tumor. And when I visit him, this is when I get really grateful for this, because I can find myself sitting at the edge of the bed, grappling for something, like some of the things I've put to one side to and none of it's relevant. None of it. So all of the things that I grapple for aren't what's required. And then, of course, I can remember just being present and the relief that I can be somewhere without needing something, without needing to grab onto those things. Because I can imagine if I did need to grab onto them, I'd probably just run away really fast because it's really difficult and confronting and painful and emotionally fraught and lots of things. And so when I can remember what you're saying, that presence and being somewhere without having things be a certain way, then some kind of way of being there arises, which I'm so grateful for. And, I saw a film the other day. We watched this incredible film, which I really recommend to you, Justin, and anybody listening, called La Belle Époque, which is a French film. And what I'm going to say now isn't the reason I'm recommending it, because the film is extraordinary just generally, and it's nothing to do with this really, but it's just part of the scene. But there's a woman, a character in there who's a psychotherapist. And I'm just noticing that the film kind of shows us an extreme of letting it all get in between, because she develops a program based on the kind of algorithms of what kind of questions you would ask somebody if they say this kind of thing. And so people have therapy with a computer, and she's made like millions of pounds because she's she's developed a way of people receiving her therapy without her even being there at all. It's just a screen. And then there's at some point in the film, she ends up in trouble in her life, and she uses her piece of technology to help her, and she hates it. It's like, oh, this is horrible. And there's also a scene where she's theraping someone, and she's got a cigarette in her hand, and she's like really, just asking the questions, but she's not really there. And I remember the kind of feeling running through my body of like, oh, the kind of lack of presence, which this filmmaker obviously wanted to convey in this very particular way, is really quite alarming. So I notice in me when a lot does get in the way, it's such a different experience. You said like it's good for me that I'm present too. I think it's so both ways. Of course it is. Like when you're present, the relief in me that you're not trying to do something with me or make me into something or change me or employ the tools that you learned at the weekend with me or something, is such a great relief. And I've had this really big aversion to any kind of therapeutic thing as well, where someone's trying to use something on me, or trying to get to the point that needs to be healed or something. Like I really find that very difficult to be inside of, like safety wise as well, for me. And so when you talk about being present being good for you, I can feel how good for me it is too. Like if that's not what you were being, it would be very hard for me to be with you. So of course then, if I turn that into myself, one of my wishes is that people feel able to be with me. And so then if I cannot be employing a load of techniques or letting lots of stuff get in between, I'm appreciating that it's a much more, I don't know, easy experience for other people to be with me, if that's what I'm being in the moment as well. So I'm so grateful for this invitation to not let things get in between. And as usual, I can feel these threads of like, oh, look at all this stuff I'm going to take with me into my day and into my week and into my life. And the beauty and the permission that it gives and the relief it brings as well. Because I think so much of the time, the world kind of expects us to have loads of things in our pockets ready to go when something happens, as if we could be bolstered by it, as if we could be saved by it. And I feel so relieved that we don't have to have something that's just the right thing for just the right moment at just the right time, because we're here.
I love what you said about there being so many threads. I just want you to know that that's what I always feel in this way that we've taken up of talking with one another, in this practice that we're in of waiting, listening and waiting, and then not interrupting one another, and then speaking. There's so many different places to step into what you just said. But the one that's most immediate for me is what you said about what it takes to be with one another in a way that it's safe to be with one another. And that that any time that I particularly want to talk just for a moment about coaching, because that's the domain that Thirdspace is in the middle of, and in so many ways, and that we teach, and it's such a necessary invitation from Eugene Gendlin to say, learn things and then put them close by, but not in between.
Mm.
And I was remembering times, of course, when I've been coaching and someone's been paying me to be a coach, a person or an organization or something, and I've put the identity of being a coach who's able to do things in between.
Mm.
And my wish that something good would happen for the other person, and then when I get confused or don't know what to do, having that and my wish to be proper and professional and skillful and everything be on the in-between. And nearly every time I've done that, it's so greatly got in the way of the actual thing that was called to happen. And your language, but what's so striking about your language, your way of describing it, Lizzie, is how the moment that we're doing that, the moment that I'm trying to hold on to a method and do it in the right way, or have a particular outcome happen, or whether it's one we've agreed or one that I'm thinking of, or have a problem be solved or something like that, the moment that's on the in-between rather than something that's sort of here and alongside us, is the moment that it gets unsafe for you to be you, because at that point what you actually are is the person who's going to show me that I can do this well, or the person I'm going to be relieved when it works out the way that I think it's going to work out, or you're going to be the person who's going to guarantee I can continue doing this work, or you because you won't judge me or throw me out, or and so I'm imagining from Genlin's words this sense of there being a table laid out between us, and there's you and me, and then there are things on the table, and either of us at any point can reach for a thing on the table and lift it and go, oh, I just noticed that this is here. I wonder about it. And wondering about something that's on the table between us is really, really different from, like having it in the way.
Yeah.
Or making you, anybody who's listening who can't see the video here, I've got a cup of tea, a mug of tea that I'm sort of holding up in between me and Lizzie. And it's so different from making you drink the tea, or insisting that the tea is the thing that we look at together. I mean, even just that move, let's look at this tea together. But equally, our being together can't be, if I'm going to be the one who is here with you, also seems, I really agree with what Eugene Gendlin is saying, is let's have everything in close about our lives. I might really want to reach into that place that I feel frightened too, or I might want to reach into that time when I had a similar conversation with someone else, or I might want to reach into a question that's forming with me, or a feeling or something. So the other consequence, I have to go and see this film now. The consequence of automating the way that we are with one another, even if we're there, not using a piece of software, is that all of that, the moment I flatten myself either into a set of techniques or into a non-person, you could go all the way. You could go, well, I'll leave out everything of my life and I shouldn't be there either. So even though I'm not now using some kind of technique, I've completely absented myself from my conversation with you, and I'm no longer feeling anything or being anything. So the where that thought just takes me is to you, and you're describing what it's like to go and visit somebody that you care about, who is in this tremulous place of being in the very last part of their lives, by all likelihood. I can feel myself trembling inside even to name that way of being with one another is something that we need all the way through our lives, and that many of us don't get much of a chance to be that for one another, or to receive that from one another, because the practices of our lives don't afford it to us, or maybe because we've never had the chance to wonder what it would be just to be unabashedly ourselves without having to prove anything.
Yeah, Justin, as you talk, it's making me think of being a parent as well. I feel like there's a kind of path that I could have taken of being like what a parent should be, like quite strict and serious or something. And it was kind of one of the things that scared me about becoming a parent was, am I going to have to become something that I don't really know how to do that? And then there's a path of being myself. and being present and responding that is a completely different setup. And so instead of constructing myself in a way that I think the world would approve of me, or this bit that Eugene says at the top about being smart or good or mature or wise, it's like I could have constructed a self that was the thing that one is supposed to be as a parent with one's child. Kind of, I can feel that in me, that there was a kind of, I don't know, some kind of inner expectation of becoming something in response. And yeah, thankfully that hasn't happened. And I feel so grateful that I can be myself. And actually, what I can see is that if I'm not being myself, or if I'm in some kind of role, it's virtually impossible for me to receive my life. Whenever I've been in a role, I feel like I've been kind of pushing something. So look how smart I am, look how wise I am, look how something I am, leaves me out almost entirely. So, you're saying it's good for me too. I feel like that's part of it, is by trying to be something, by trying to perform or trying to live up to some outer or inner expectation, I'm not then in receipt of what this experience is for me. So to be a parent who's present and responsive, rather than doing the thing I should do and performing to the standards of modern parenting or something, if I did that, I can just feel like how little there would be there for me to receive and to bathe in and enjoy and be, and to feel my life. It's like I can feel like all of this in betweenness, all of the stuff that gets in between, also robs me of receiving the life that's my inheritance. That's my divine right to experience and feel and receive the life that I have been given. It gets taken away from me the minute I begin to try to live up to something. And it's particularly, it's Vespa's birthday today, so I feel like there's part of me that goes, oh, I should have this together and I should have done that, and I know how to breathe into it and say, well, thank you, that part of me that thinks I should be doing better, or having the house tidier, or having organized something better than a soup for everyone coming around. I can just look at that and see it for what it is, and then remember to be in receipt of the day. That this is about, everyone gets to receive every single day, everyone gets to receive it. And so I can kind of feel my heart aching as I say that, because I can also see all the times that I don't feel in receipt of my life because I'm pushing for something, or I'm wanting something to be different, or I'm wanting to perform in some way, or do the right thing, or be the right person at the right time. And I really want to put that down so that I can do this, not letting things get in between.
It's really time for us to close. And I'm a couple of thoughts, Lizzie, that were really sparked by what you said. So one is, you're such an advocate for our receiving our lives. And thank you for bringing that in again. And I was thinking whilst you were talking about how there are places where performing matters. There really are. Thankfully, we can learn how to do that. But it's such a terrible mistake to try to perform where it's not called for.
Mm.
And that's our mistake, is to turn everything into a kind of having to perform to a set of standards. It's fine if I'm being a surgeon, I ought to do it really thoroughly and properly. And if I'm putting out a fire, and if I'm acting on the stage, a performance probably is called for. But if I'm here with you, or I'm bringing up my children, or I'm loving, or I'm like probably 99% of our lives. Such a terrible tragedy. It feels heartbreaking to me to think of all the places where we've learnt to perform, where being present would be the thing. And then you've also just left me thinking about gratitude. That to receive really is gratitude. Our willingness to receive whatever and whoever is here as a gift, not as something that has to be fixed up. But to start with, what a gift to receive you, to receive myself. Now what? Thank you so much for carrying on being one who brings yourself with such generosity, and it's such a gift to receive you and to receive myself in doing that.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you everyone for being with us. Being well. We will be back again on Sunday morning. You can catch us live if you want, 9 a.m. UK time, which will probably be a slightly different time next week because I think the clocks change. If you want to be with us live in our Facebook group, otherwise all the other places, YouTube and podcasts, and you can sign up for our emails as well. If you go to turningtowards.life, you can put your email address in and we'll send this out to you in email as well. Thanks for being with us, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.